Today we're going to review Cleared Hot, a helicopter-based arcade-style game. Before I get started with the review, I do have to reveal up front I was gifted a key, however that does not influence my review. I was given no parameters for my review. I do not have to say anything nice, I also don't have to say anything mean, so this review is going to be purely my thoughts and impressions based off of playing the actual game. With that disclaimer out of the way, I do have to say I absolutely loved the game. One of my favorite games to play way back on PlayStation 1 and 2 was a little army men game called Air Assault. Or maybe it was called Air Attack, I don't know, it's been a while, it's been like 20 years. And it was such a fun game to play with my brother, and it's a genre that we don't see a whole lot of these days. In fact, Cleared Hot is probably the first time that I've played like an arcade-style helicopter game since the PlayStation 1 or 2 era, so it's a genre that's not often explored. And that's kind of a shame in my opinion. It's an absolute blast of a genre to play in, and this game captures everything about those games so well. The intense action, the arcadey style, the ridiculous over-the-top grabbing people with the winch and throwing them around or tossing trucks into the ocean, like it captures those vibes so well. And what I think I appreciate the most is that even though it's like clearly inspired by those older titles, I think the dev himself mentioned Desert Strike, which is one that I never personally played, but I know a lot of people enjoyed that game, is the modern touch and the modern options. You know, just because a game is inspired by older games doesn't mean it has to copy those games 100%. So for this game, there's a huge research tree. There's a bunch of different helicopters you can choose from, including my two favorites, the Hind and the Chinook. The Hind because of Metal Gear Solid 1, and the Chinook, I don't know, I just kind of think it's neat. And then you can upgrade like the light guns, the heavy guns, light missiles, heavy missiles, like there's a lot of options, and each one of those options has different reasons for choosing it. So whether you prefer speed, whether you prefer damage, different things like that, you can actually feel the difference when you use some of those different weapons, especially like if you play in the first mission and the tutorial mission, you can see the difference between like a fully kitted out helicopter and then, you know, starting at the bottom, you feel those difference between how those different vehicles handle. And you can choose a little bit of strategy, however you want to like strategize for the mission you're playing in. And you don't need to necessarily. I got pretty far. I didn't realize there was upgrades because I was just playing the missions. So I was just playing with the starter helicopter with no upgrades, just through and through, which honestly I think is a compliment, because it's not like, well, you hit a wall because this is impossible. If you have enough skill and just enjoy playing through it and taking on the challenge, you can handle it with any kind of helicopter you want to, it seems like. Or you can upgrade if you want a little bit more power to make things a little bit easier. I honestly should have quit out of the mission and went back and upgraded things, but again, I was just having fun playing the game, so I didn't go back to the main screen to look at those options. I was just keep playing the missions. And I enjoy the different mission variety. There's escort missions, there's capture people and bring them home, there's destroy bases, there's an Arctic biome, a jungle biome, and a desert biome that you see here. So like there's a lot of different variety that you keep shaking it up. Again, if it was based in the old style of games, like the 90s games, you'd have maybe like 4 helicopters, 1 upgrade, and maybe like 1 biome or 2, but we're not stuck in the 90s. We can make this modern. So there's a lot of options, a lot of different varieties and things that keep shaking it up and making it fun. I don't know if the dev is ever going to see this video, nor do I know if they can even do this, but my one suggestion, and while I'm talking about like the helicopters and the upgrades and things, because I love those old Army Men games so much, I think it'd be really cool if there was like an Easter egg or a way to unlock like an Army Men helicopter. I don't know if there's like copyright issues or anything like that, but if you're listening, devs, I would absolutely love to play as like a plastic helicopter, just like being held by a hand, flying through the air, shooting at the things to relive the old Army Men game that I loved. Another thing that I want to talk about that I absolutely loved about the game is actually a modern complaint I have about a lot of modern games. Because in a lot of modern games, when you go to play the game, you have to first watch like 20 minutes of story, and then you watch a cutscene and you get more story, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I enjoy story in games. I enjoy things like The Last of Us, I think was absolutely brilliant. But it is frustrating that sometimes, like, okay, I've got 20 minutes, I got a little bit of downtime, I just want to play a game, I want to jump into some action and do something, and you can't really do that with a ton of modern games. You know, you think about like Doom 1993, which is a game I bring up way too much because I absolutely love it, but like, you just start up the game, you click start, and you're playing. You're just in it and playing. And I got a lot of that feeling here, where there's some story in the game, but you know what, if I had 10 minutes, I say, you know what, I got 10 minutes, I just want to play for a quick little bit, you can just jump into it and jump into the action. You can just get started. You're not bogged down with a ton of cutscenes and a ton of story and a ton of, okay, I gotta sit and wait through this. You can just jump in and start taking dudes out. And sometimes that's all you want. I'm not saying games shouldn't have story, but I'm saying I like having the option now of a game where I can just jump in and enjoy it rather than having to sit through stories and cutscenes when I just don't feel like it. One other thing I'm going to talk about that I really appreciate is the difficulty of the game. When we talk about old school arcade style games, sometimes inherently there's this level of unfairness where, you know, they were designed to eat your quarters, where you can't make mistakes, where you're starting levels over. And you've seen this background gameplay that I've been playing the same level over and over, and I failed a bunch. That's my own fault. Let me start off by saying that is my own fault. I did not realize I could do something in the game. I probably should have been reading the tutorials and paying more attention on how to heal, and that would have made the game a lot easier if I knew how to do that. But I kind of was skipping through things because I was playing this on stream and I wasn't paying as much attention as I should. So the game is not overly difficult. However, there are things that will punish you. You know, if you're just sitting there taking rockets to the face, you are going to lose that mission. You know, you have to use your dodge. You have to figure out how to attack things from different angles. You have to think about it. So I think there's a really good and fair mix of difficulty, balancing what weapons you're using, how you're going into encounters and engagements. It's not too hard. It's not Dark Souls. I'm beating my head against the wall, not knowing what to do, or I'm gonna have to do this boss 500 times before I even have a chance of beating it. But it's also not so easy where it's just like, okay, well, I'm not even paying attention because I just hold down the attack button, everything gets destroyed. There's a decent amount of strategy and tactics, and I think they did a great job of balancing the difficulty with the fun. And again, this is just the starter helicopter. You can see I just got halfway demolished just going to that base because I flew right into the middle of the base and started attacking everything. It might have been a little bit different if I'd gone in this mission with the better helicopter like the Hind, but again, I didn't want to stop. I was just having fun, so I didn't stop to upgrade because I was just playing the missions and enjoying. As of making this video, it is overwhelmingly positive on Steam, and I would say it deserves every bit of that praise. It's also on sale right now for 10% off, but honestly, at $14.99 for the base price of the game, and it being an early access, there's enough content here that I feel like $14.99 is a completely fair and good price. If you have any love or nostalgia for those old games, the old helicopter style games, you will absolutely love this. If you've never played one before, $14.99 is not a huge investment to see whether or not you're going to absolutely love the game, and I think you will. I honestly, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I've been praising the game, and talking about all the things that I liked. I really can't think of anything that I didn't like. The only thing I didn't know how to do was land on that helipad you just saw there, and again, that was my own fault. Like, it's got fair balance, it's got things to research, it got things to do, it looks great, it never lagged, it never had any problems. Like, I really can't think of any complaint I have about the game. It is exactly what it promises to be. And if you've been around my channel, you know that I'm overly harsh on video games. In fact, while I was playing this game, we were talking about in stream about how much I dislike a bunch of Nintendo 64 games that everyone liked, like Donkey Kong and Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, and how flawed those games are. So for me to talk about a game in a positive light without any flaws that I can inherently think of is huge praise, because I am harsh on my game reviews because I want to be honest and open about things that I like and don't like, and this I just had fun with. That's as simple as it is. It was fun, it was entertaining, and I enjoyed it. I think you'll enjoy it too, so give the devs a try, give it a check out. Again, it's $14.99, less than the cost of a movie at full price. I think you'll get more than 2 hours of entertainment, so I think it's more than worth the money. And again, huge shout out to the developer of the game for sending me a key to enjoy the game and get to make this video. It was an absolute blast to enjoy. And honestly, I hope they continue to work on the game, but I kind of hope to see what they do next. If they're going to be reviving a bunch of games out of the 90s, there's a bunch of other arcade games that are all from that time period that we don't see a whole lot of, so I'd love to see more of that. So thank you again for the CD key and the review copy. It was an absolute blast to play. Thank you for watching the review, and have a blessed day.